At Apollo, safety is a value, not a priority. We are committed to embracing an injury-free workplace. This video is for informative purposes only and should not be used in place of hands-on training. Make sure you have been cleared by your supervisor before using this machine. This machine is also another elbow machine. On this side we have our flattening rolls. It can be used to flatten the metal, which I'll show you later. In this case, what we're going to do is we're actually going to turn a flange with it. To turn it on and off, it's done right here. Just has a little switch. In the middle is neutral. When I'm on the flattening side, I want it this way. When I'm on this side, which is the bell side of the machine, we want it going away from you. So on this side, I'm going to be over here. The specific hazards for this is we do have rotating parts on here. So again, I need to have cut level leather fork gloves. When you do have the stickier gloves, what they do is they tend to snag and it can create problems. Some of the other, let's see, no real tooling is used for this. When I walk up to it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my depth of the flange that I want. In this case, I'm going to be turning a 1/2 inch flange. So loosen the two knobs here and adjust your back gauge accordingly. If I'm going for about a 1/2 inch, typically I'll go about 7/16, a little bit under of what it should be, as the metal tends to stretch and grow. So I'll make sure these are nice and tight before I go. The capacity on this machine is 18 gauge. You shouldn't be doing anything heavier than that over here. So now, what I could do, go up and down here and adjust the tension of it right here. So if I'm turning a flange, what I'll do is I'll bring this thing all the way down, and I want to keep my hands away from it as I'm turning the flange as much as I can. When you're doing a 1/2 inch flange out, you do end up getting this hand a little bit closer. So please make sure you feel comfortable and you're approved by your supervisor to use this. And then you just kind of let it spin. And sometimes I'll grab it out here. And when I'm done, I always want to make sure the handle is up. And what I did here is turn out a 1/2 inch flange. That's it. All right, this side of the machine is the bell side of the machine. What the bell does is it flares the metal out, so the same diameter of pipe can slide into it. To turn it on, I come over here. In the middle again is neutral, and when I'm on the bell side, I want it that way. And what that does is it keeps the rolls or the metal rolling away from you at all times. So when you're on any one of these elbow machines, you always want the material rolling away from you. When I come up to this, again, I want to set my back gauge. So it's done as the same as the other side. I have my knob here and I can adjust my fence. Typically on a bell, I want to be about 5/8 to 3/4, somewhere in there. And I don't want to be turning anything more than 18 gauge. Some of the hazards that you do need to look out for, if you are going to turn, say, like a shorter piece like this, when you do have it in there, you never want to stick your fingers into the metal while you're rotating it. You try to keep them on the outside as much as possible. And if you are not comfortable with that, please check with your supervisor before doing it. I'm not going to show you that. So on this case, we're going to do a little bit larger one, be easier. You can get your fingers in this one because I know that they won't actually get sucked into the roll. And I'm going to start just with a little bit of pressure, and as it turns, you can bring it down a little bit further. And there I've created my bell. So now we're going to be on the flattening side again. What we're going to do here is flatten out our seam. We've spot welded our elbow all the way together. And you can kind of see the bubbles that it creates if your swedge isn't perfect. The only thing that really changes between this and the flange side is I have moved my back gauge completely out of the way as much as possible. And when I'm doing this, I want to loosen up this top part of it really. I start out really loose and I bring it down, and you can kind of get a feel for how tight you really need to be. You don't want to be too tight because it'll tend to leave marks on your metal. So now I just got it there, and I'm going to slowly bump the pedal, and I'm flattening out that seam. So now I got a nice flat. It beats hammering it out. Remember, Apollo expects each worker to go home in the same condition as they came to work in. Anything less than that is not acceptable. If you are unsure, stop and ask. Home healthy, home safe.